Shemai. Today we're going to have a look at a real sign and symbol of Christmas, mistletoe. It's an evergreen semi-parasitic plant shrub, which means that it's partially parasitic, which means it partially feeds off the plant itself. And it's generally seen as big green clumps, and they can form almost like 2-meter sized balls up in the tree, and can be seen from quite a distance. Now, if I point the camera up in there, you can see that this is lost its leaves, and all of those dark clumps up in there are mistletoe. The Latin for mistletoe is Viscus album, and the Welsh is Uchelfoedd. And it's interesting because mistletoe actually comes from the Anglo-Saxon mistletoe, and now mistle meaning different and tan meaning a twig, because it basically meant that the mistletoe that was growing on these trees looked different to the plant itself, different to the tree that it was growing on. Now, mistletoe will grow on broadleaf trees, and this time of year, and you can see just above me, that's when it becomes really obvious as these great big dark clumps of green in the sort of in the bleakness of the winter. Now, the Latin Viscus album, the viscum means sticky, and it comes from, and probably derives from, the inside of the berries have like a glutinous juice that's quite sticky. Mistletoe, generally, we associate it with trees like apple trees and the very tall poplar trees, and you'll see these great clumps up high, but actually it will grow on many different ones. It'll grow on hawthorn, willow, lime, and actually there's a remarkable total of 62 host trees. The one behind me is a lime tree, but the one we're going to take a closer look at is an acacia, pseudo-acacia, false acacia. So this is the acacia tree we came to look at, and the reason is it has the typical looking mistletoe clump there. It's ball shaped, it's up in the branches, and what will have happened is that the berries of the mistletoe will have been deposited in like a crevice in the bark of the tree by a bird, and it will then sort of create suckers which will go into the wood of the tree. Now, these suckers enter the cambium layer using an organ, specialised organ actually, called the haustorium. Now, this will attach into the wood, and then the roots of the mistletoe will radiate out into the wood of the branch. And I mean, imagine the spokes of a bicycle, and that's how it will attach into that wood. Now, these berries generally get deposited there by birds, and thrushes in particular are well known for it, and particularly the missel thrush. And missel actually meaning soil or basically poo. So what will happen is that the thrushes will eat the seeds, and the seeds either pass through them and get pooed out onto the branches and then will sort of attach to the branch up there, or the sticky berries will stick to their beaks, and as they scrape their beaks against the bark trying to remove it, those seeds will stick onto the bark and end up growing where they're scraped off. Okay. So now we've come up into the tree a little bit, we're not too high, and we're going to have a look at that lovely clump that we'd seen before. So, there we go. So as you can see here, the leaves are opposite, and they come to a little terminal end by there. They're opposite, they're leathery, they're sort of greenish yellow, as you can see here. And the fruit, these little berries, are about the size of a pea. So you can see there, and they're white, and there's one little seed inside of those berries, and they're very sticky inside. Like we said, that's how they get transported and stick to the trunk. Now, this flowers, and it has little small white flowers in around about March to April, and they're quite unnoticeable really. They're quite small, and they turn into these lovely berries on this great cluster here. So although mistletoe doesn't actually kill the tree directly, it is poisonous to us, and these berries are poisonous to us, so you should never attempt to eat anything, and if you've touched mistletoe, obviously give your hands a wash. So as I said, mistletoe is a parasite, well, semi-parasitic, so it's making its own sugars and things. It's got chlorophyll, so the leaves are green, so it can make its own food, but it does need the water and nutrients from the tree. Now, although it won't directly kill the tree, it can, if more and more mistletoe appears in a tree, it can weaken it. And what will happen is that the more and more of this mistletoe, it takes more and more water and nutrients from the tree, and also it will start to block the light out for the tree itself, which eventually weakens the branches that will end up snapping. So although it doesn't, directly kill the tree, it can end up leading to the death of the tree. Okay, now there's lots of lore surrounding mistletoe. It's considered to be deeply magical and said to cure all maladies and protect from evil spirits and witches. One of the traditions that we know the most is the kissing under the mistletoe. Now, it's said that tradition holds that if you stand beneath the mistletoe, you can expect to be kissed at Christmas. And for every kiss that happens underneath that mistletoe, one berry should be removed and thrown over your shoulder until there are no kisses or no berries left. Now, along the Welsh borders, there's a strong tradition that a mistletoe bough should stay in the house all year round to bring good luck. A new bough should be hung at midnight on New Year's Eve, or more recently on Christmas Day, so that when the old one should be burnt. Now, mistletoe growing on oak trees is really rare, and I think it was for that reason that it was held in great importance by the Druids if there was mistletoe growing in an oak tree. Now, it was recorded first by Pliny the Elder, in the Roman writer, who recorded the Druids cutting mistletoe from sacred oak trees and just making sure that it didn't touch the earth so it didn't lose any of its magic powers. Now, for the Druids, it's a symbol of eternal life, and it's this idea, like the holly, this idea that because it stays green through the winter months, it holds this kind of magical power while everything else around it is losing its leaves and appearing to die. And they called it all heal. Now, going back to that tradition of kissing under the mistletoe, this derives originally from a Scandinavian legend, and it was said that Balder, the god of peace, was killed by an arrow made of mistletoe. His mother, Frigg, the goddess of love, had made him immune to injury from the normal elements, so earth, water, fire and air. But Loki, that mischievous evil god, was determined to get revenge on Balder for offending him. However, the gods decided to restore Balder's life and then placed mistletoe under the care of Frigg on condition that it never touched the earth, which was ruled by Loki. And that's why, as you can see, it always grows up in the branches of trees. Now, ever since that, one of the customs that we have is to hang mistletoe high up on the roof of the house or from the ceiling. The gods decided that all who passed underneath should receive a kiss, as a reminder that mistletoe is no longer a signal of death, but of love. In Wales, here where we are, it was said that a good crop of mistletoe was a sign of a good harvest. So there we go. Mistletoe. It really is a symbol of Christmas, and now hopefully you can see why we do the tradition of kissing under the mistletoe, and it's an easy one to spot, especially this time of year. Go out and have a look at these great big sort of pretty much spherical balls of green up in the trees, and that will be mistletoe. So hope you go out and find it. I'm going to get myself back down to ground, back down to safety, and we'll hopefully see you soon. Good luck.